Hey guys, HDvee here and welcome to a brand new video. Today we've got some pretty crazy things to go over. Loads of new events have been announced for various different Pokemon games. As well as that, major Pokemon Gen 10 leaks may have also dropped. We also have some new Nintendo Switch 2 updates to go over. Loads of things to break down today. So if you're excited for the video, make sure to drop a like down below. Leave a comment, subscribe if you're brand new, and let's get into the video. So, starting things off, let's go over the new Pokemon events that have been announced. The first one is a new shiny mass outbreak event. We've got HDvee here tweeting out saying, HDvee update, the next Pokemon Scarlet and Violet mass outbreak event has been announced. Get Wiglet in Paldea, Growlithe in Kitakami, and Swablu in the terrarium. It runs from the 30th of April through to the 8th of May, which is a bit weird because the 30th of April is this Wednesday, and usually these events go live on the weekend, so don't really know why they're doing it midweek. Potentially trailers on the horizon, who knows. Again, that's just kind of hopeful thinking there. But the main thing is we are getting a new shiny mass outbreak event for Wiglet, Growlithe, and Swablu in Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet. That is not the only Scarlet and Violet event that's been announced though. Gimmick is returning in raids, which also means shiny Gimmick is returning in raids. HDvee has been tweeting out saying, HDvee update, the next Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Terra Raid battle event has been announced. Gimmick will return from 30th of April, so again, this week, through to the 8th of May 2025. Again, this is the only legitimate way of obtaining a shiny Gimmick. The odds are not very good though. It's like a 1 in 4,000. I don't know. I think it's a little bit different in the raids than your normal 1 in 4,096. So you're going to have to do a lot of raids to try and get this. You got to get very lucky. Hopefully they just make it easier to get because it's absolutely stupid. To expect people to do thousands of raids to try and get the shiny. And if you're doing a shiny living dex, you need 2 of them because you've got to get shiny Gimmick and then shiny Golden Go. So either way, the main thing is that this raid event is back. The only problem is the shiny odds are probably going to stay the same. Hopefully they improve them. They should improve them, but again, we'll have to wait and see. But anyway, those are the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet events that are going to be going live this week. Next up, we also have a new event that went live today for Pokemon TCG Pocket. Remember, the new set comes out this week as well on the 30th of April. So a lot of things regarding Pokemon happening this Wednesday. We've got HDvee here tweeting out saying, HDvee update, the Pokemon TCG Pocket Fighting type Mass Outbreak event is now live. So it's just your normal Mass Outbreak event in Pokemon Pocket, but this time you're going to be able to get Lucario from Shining Revelry. And as I say, new set comes out this week. We'll be covering all of that on the Pokemon Pocket channel in the description down below if you haven't checked that out yet. But yeah, new event that's going live this week for that mobile game. And then moving on, we also have a new update regarding Pokemon Sleep. We've got HDvee here tweeting out saying, HDvee update, Pokemon Sleep has announced a new event coming at the end of May. It is called New Moon Day. So that is another event to kind of look forward to. We have a shiny Darkrai in the background as well. I don't play Pokemon Sleep. I don't know if Darkrai is available as a shiny in Pokemon Sleep or not, but there is definitely a shiny Darkrai there. Well, I think it's shiny Darkrai anyway. It might not be shiny Darkrai. It might just be the actual coloring coming off the moon. But either way, it's going to be something to do with Darkrai. Those are all the events that have been announced over the last couple of days, though. Moving on, Generation 10 leaks may have potentially dropped. Don't worry, no story leaks or anything like that. And again, this isn't confirmed at all. It's all coming from the Twitter account Moot, who I don't know if they have a reliable track record or not. I've not really heard about them before, but apparently a lot of people are saying what they are saying is true. Apparently they have links to the Pokemon anime, and they've correctly leaked things about the Pokemon anime, so that's why people think that they do have some legitimacy. But either way, we're going to cover it all, but of course, take it with a massive grain of salt. But the first thing that they said was, I think they said a couple of things. I haven't really been following it until recently. They said there are 8 internally proposed apostles so far, not the actual term, by the way, just the name I came up with. And then Misters O and I stated that there were an additional 24 being considered / worked on, and that's at minimum apparently. The list was shared, so I'll probably post a couple of days from now on to be annoying. I'll be using #guys to talk about the stuff I hear going forward. So then they've put K and then 7 in brackets. They put M with a 1 in brackets, an N with a 1 in bracket, another N with a 1 in brackets, A with 10 in brackets, yeah really, G with 3 in brackets, G with 4 in brackets, and then D with 5 in brackets. So straight off the bat, that doesn't really mean a lot to us, but luckily Soul Silver has kind of broken it down, and this is what they're kind of pointing towards with this. But again, take it with a grain of salt. It's not confirmed at all, but we do know that there are legitimate leaks from Generation 10 because of the Terror League, just like there were for Pokemon Legends EA. So just take of that as you will. But either way, we've got Soul Silver saying potential Pokemon Generation 10 leaks breakdown. So as sad as it is, I've basically got to accept that sooner rather than later, a lot of information on Generation 10 will leak to the public from the Terror League. Allegedly, things are leaking already, but here it was done as a riddle game, which I appreciate greatly because it leaves a lot of mystery. However, looking at this from an analytical standpoint, I have to preface this information by saying this could all be totally fake. No offense to Moot at all, but it's nearly impossible to fully believe this information without a track record of credibility or just hard proof. And that's exactly what, I've just said. The credibility of this person is still up in the air. It's hard to say whether they're true or not, but apparently they have leaks for the Pokemon anime, and that's why people are kind of taking what they say as a bit more valuable as just like random 4chan leaks and stuff like that. And he himself said this could all change before release due to the nature of these leaks being dev meetings and early dev information. So all of this information that Moot's been posting is coming from meetings and stuff, which again is where, like Mega Zygarde was spoken about, Mega Zeraora was spoken about. So with that being said, I'm still covering it because it's possible for it to be legit too, and this riddle is fun. It could even be getting, I could even be getting baited, but oh well. So here's the theory on what's being said. There's a new gimmick in Gaia/Generation 10, which we're expecting, but where there will be at least 8 apostles, a word he personally chose. So maybe people, but probably Pokemon, that are basically disciples to a higher power, maybe the box legendaries. So this does kind of make a little bit of sense because with this game being based in Greece, you've got all the Greek gods and stuff like that, so there might be a lot of sort of elements like this in the game, which is why the gimmick might kind of also steer in that direction. So I said at least 8 because the devs also made a much bigger pool / number of 24 or even 41 Pokemon that they may possibly use. But 8 gyms equals 8 apostles kinda makes sense. He gave us the list of 8 though because apparently these were shown in concept art together, meaning that they could be more established than the rest. So if these are Pokemon, it seems to be the first letter of any Pokemon, any stage in their evolution line, or legendaries, or mythicals, and the number of the generation they originated in. So these would be older Pokemon that have ascended and gotten new forms. So what they're kind of talking about here is, so the K would be Generation 7, and the Pokemon begins with the letter K. From Generation 1, it would be M, so that could be like Magmar or Magneton or something like that. And then you have N from Generation 1. So that, for me, that's like Nidoking and Nidoqueen. The 2 N's that are right next to each other, I just feel like that's them. And then you've got A from Generation 10. You've got G from Generation 3, G from Generation 4. I think that's Gardevoir and Gallade, personally, because the fact that they put them together like that. And then also you've got D from Generation 5. So that could be like Darmanitan or something like that. So that's what that basically means there. So then goes on to say, if these are Pokemon, it seems to be the first letter of any Pokemon, any stage in their evolution. I might have just read that. Anyway, from there we can just guess what they are. You can see how Cowman's guesses below. So though once we get to those guesses, it does seem a bit unbalanced. So I feel like it's very possible that they could change which mons get these forms, probably by just going to a pool of 24 or whatever and subbing them in. In fact, Moot has already started naming more than the bigger group of 24, so they may be in contention as well. Of course, I must also say that this theory itself could be wrong too, so in the end, just take it all with a grain of salt. So this was what Calman's basically saying. So K, Kommo-o, Kamala, Cortana. M from 1 is Muk, Machamp, Mr. Mime, Magmar, Marowak, Moltres, Mew, Mewtwo. N1, Nidoking, Nidoqueen, G3, G4, Gardevoir and Gallade, and then Druddigon or Darmanitan for D5. So very similar to kind of what I was saying there as well. And then also as a follow-up to this as well, so I deleted the 22 out of 41 tweet as people were misinterpreting it. 8 have been made, 24 minus 2 I've already said have been planned, 41 were pitched. Of those, a few will be chosen. You got Soul Silver saying, this is pretty self-explanatory now. Potentially 8 of these new gimmick forms have been created. 24 were planned. Moot teased the 8 plus 2 of the 24. 41 are concepts, and a few of those may still become part of the plan. So that's kind of the main concept here, is that there are these new forms for the gimmick, a little bit like Mega Evolution. So not every Pokemon gets it, it's just a select few, and that's going to be the gimmick regarding Generation 10. There's been another update to this as well, though. So we had Moot here saying #Gaia. So at the meeting, so where all this information is taken from, a question was raised by a merchandising corporate partner, I know the company but not going to mention for obvious reasons, about how wide the scope of the region's Pokedex was going to be. So Game Freak went into a bit of detail about how they decide the size of a dex. So they have a bank of potential mons, basically ideas that were either scrapped from previous generations or just things that were never used. They stated that currently they've got around 200 of those. So they've got 200 Pokemon that they can easily sub into a game that they've made in the past, whether they've been scrapped or they just never really put them in a game. There's about 200 of those Pokemon. They also come up with new designs specifically to fit into the lore and atmosphere of the region. So being a Greek region with Greek gods and everything like that, they would base a lot of Pokemon around that. They also may adjust designs for the aforementioned bank to fit into this group. And then from there, they consider various lore factors like the size of the actual region, its biodiversity, etc., as well as meta factors like feasibility of workflow. Do they have the pipeline to make a lot of new designs? How do things like form changes and regionals fit into that number? For each new mon, they need to create the model, animations, movesets, abilities, etc. It's a lot of work, and that's every single Pokemon has to have that. With all of that being said, Mr. I stated that they're currently aiming for 120 new Pokemon / regional forms, of which about 70 are in their final stages of development. So 120 is a very good number for Generation 10. I definitely expect it to be over 100, like 100%. And then they go on to say, I should add on that this was what they are aiming for and what they felt like they were currently capable of at the time. This number could increase or decrease depending on how production goes. So that's what Moot said, and then we had a follow-up to this from Soul Silver Art saying, all very subject to change, but the number of new designs is one of the most important things for me in a new gen. If they're really going for 120 new designs, no matter how they're split, I'm beyond happy. So 70 of them already finished is great too, but all of this should be expected too. So, okay, follow-up question. I'm assuming the Apostles are part of those 120. 70 plus new designs, some regional forms, and 30 plus Apostles. And then no, they aren't. Of course, some of the Apostles will be Generation 10 mons, but no, that's a separate count, which is what shows how big of an undertaking this game is. Well, that's beautiful if they can actually stick to it. So the like Apostles that they're making, like the 20 odd, 30, 40 odd, they're not part of this 120 number. So you've got 120 new mons, regional forms, whatever. And as well as that, you then have an extra like 30 odd Apostles or whatever. So it's a lot, like around 150 new Pokemon, new forms, something like that, which is a very good number for Generation 10. But it's very, very exciting. I mean, what's been shared so far is not, it's not like a massive story leak and stuff. It is more or so what kind of this game is going to be establishing itself around. And it does sound good so far. Like, that's a lot of new Pokemon, and I'm excited for it. But what are your thoughts on these potential Generation 10 leaks? Are you liking the direction this game is going in? Or are you a little bit hesitant about even believing it? Again, you got to take it with a grain of salt at the end of the day. But let me know your thoughts on it all. But either way, those are the most recent potential Generation 10 leaks. Finishing things off for today's video, we have a new Nintendo Switch 2 update. We've got Nintendo Soup here tweeting out saying Joy-Con 2's battery is smaller than the Joy-Con, but with the same battery life. So smaller battery, same kind of battery time with both these Joy-Cons. So Joy-Con's 2 battery, smaller than Joy-Con, but with the same battery life. So the official Nintendo website has revealed some interesting information about the Nintendo Switch 2's Joy-Con controllers. So according to the website, each Joy-Con 2 packs a 500 mAh lithium-ion battery. That's smaller than the Joy-Con's 525 mAh battery. However, despite the smaller battery, in terms of battery life, both the Joy-Con 2 and the Joy-Con will last about 20 hours. And they also take the same time to fully recharge, which is about 3.5 hours, unlike the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller. Unsurprisingly though, due to the Joy-Con 2's larger footprint, they weigh heavier than the Joy-Con. So it's 66 Gs versus 49 Gs for the left, and 67 Gs versus 52.1 Gs for the right. So what do you think? Let us know in the comments. So just a small update there regarding the Nintendo Switch 2 Joy-Cons. You're not really going to tell much of a difference because even though obviously they are heavier, it's the same battery life, and it's going to take the same amount of time to charge, and they last, yeah, like I say, the same as well. So just wanted to quickly go over that quick Nintendo Switch 2 update. There's like a Nintendo Switch 2 update to go over every single day. Like 5th of June is right around the corner. Very exciting times. So yeah, you're going to see like posts like this pop up quite a lot in these videos and stuff. But anyway, that's the Nintendo Switch 2 stuff. Let me know your thoughts on that. And then, of course, let me know your thoughts on the Generation 10 leaks. If this is the direction it's going, I'm quite excited about it. 150 odd like new forms, Pokemon, whatever. Very, very exciting. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on all that. And then, of course, let me know your thoughts on all the mentioned events as well for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, Pokemon TCG Pocket, all that. But thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, drop a like. Let's try and hit 500. It does really help out. As I say, leave a comment on anything that we covered in today's video. Subscribe if you're brand new. Ring the notification bell for daily Pokemon content. Have a fantastic rest of your day. And until next time, peace.